Hello and welcome to Drama Recaps. Today we're delving into the movie Bronson, a captivating tale revolving around a man's unconventional desire for recognition, grounded in a life of crime. This biographical crime film takes inspiration from the life and times of one of Britain's most notorious convicts, a man who commands respect from fellow prisoners and prison wardens alike. Will a life behind bars help him find his true self? Let's explore the movie Bronson to find out. Bronson takes us back to 1950s England, where a child named Michael Peterson was born into an affluent family. By the tender age of 13, he was already causing harm to others through fights, robberies and even assaults on his teacher. As he matured, Michael led a seemingly ordinary life, working in a restaurant. But the low wages drove him to steal from his workplace's cash register. This action brought the police to his doorstep, and when they questioned him, his reaction was to attack them. The narrative then shifts to 1974, showing Michael as a married man with a child. However, Michael's dream of achieving fame seemed impossible, owing to his lack of skills and talent. This frustration led him to commit another robbery, this time at a local post office, wielding a toy gun. He made off with a mere £52, but this act landed him a 7-year prison sentence. Upon learning of his imprisonment, his wife visited the police station and divorced him on his very first day of incarceration. Michael's reaction, though, was one of indifference. As he began his prison term, he found that prison wasn't as intimidating as it might seem. Instead, he reveled in the amenities of the prison, which to him felt more like a luxury resort. However, as time passed, a sense of ennui started to creep in. To quench his thirst for attention and his innate desire for conflict within the prison, Michael started stirring up trouble. He violently assaulted several prison guards on duty, an act that led the judge to extend his sentence by another 7 years, amounting to a total of 14 years. Yet, this incident only served to augment Michael's fame within the prison. His fellow inmates lauded his every act of defiance, further fueling his reckless behavior. In the end, he became such a notorious figure that he had to be moved between a staggering 120 different prisons, none of which seemed capable of curbing his brutal actions. Eventually, the prison authorities decided to commit Michael to a mental hospital, due to his inability to control his volatile emotions. But life in the mental hospital proved to be a source of depression for Michael. The absence of cheers and support whenever he committed a crime made him feel as if he was in a personal hell. His situation was exacerbated by the lack of empathy from the nursing staff, who would immediately sedate him to prevent any acts of rebellion. The nurse in charge administered chlorpromazine, a medication designed to manage psychotic disorders and reduce aggressive behavior, thereby enabling the patient to think more clearly. This drug also made it easier for the nursing staff to control Michael's behavior. After years of this treatment, Michael's behavior patterns changed drastically. He became unable to speak and was confined to his bed. When the nurses saw what they believed was an improvement in his emotional control, they reduced his sedative dosage. Seizing this opportunity, Michael devised a plan to escape the mental hospital. He killed a patient who constantly insulted him, in hopes of being sent back to a traditional prison cell. His wish was granted, but once back in prison, he was sent to solitary confinement, away from his fellow inmates for 26 years. The loneliness took a toll on Michael, and he began to strategize ways to break free from his isolation. In a fit of rebellion, he caused a riot by vandalizing the prison facilities. His violent actions led to stricter security measures, necessitating the deployment of an emergency response team. Moreover, due to the extensive damage he caused, Michael was banned from all prisons in England. The narrative then transitions to a famous Michael, whose reputation eventually reached Queen Elizabeth, the reigning monarch of England. She agreed to consider him for parole. Upon his release, Michael is collected by his mother, only to return home to find that most of his belongings have mysteriously vanished from his room. His mother explains that due to space constraints, not all items were moved from their previous house. After staying with his mother for a few days, Michael decides to move in with his uncle, who runs a business in the red light district. While there, he acquaints himself with several women working for his uncle. One day, Michael pays a visit to Paul, a friend and ex-convict who admires Michael's fighting abilities. Paul suggests that Michael consider becoming an underground fighter, an endeavor that could earn him a handsome income. To make him more recognizable, Paul proposes that Michael adopt the name of the famous American action star, Charles Bronson. Michael agrees to the suggestion and the partnership proposed by Paul. The scene then transitions to Michael, now Bronson, beginning his career as a fighter. His sturdy physique proves to be advantageous, leading him to win every match. He even manages to impress one of his rivals, who offers to pay to watch Bronson fight ferocious dogs. Simultaneously, Bronson develops feelings for one of his uncle's employees, a prostitute. Intending to propose, he steals an expensive ring from a jewelry store. However, his proposal is flatly rejected as the woman already has a boyfriend and plans to marry him. Following this incident, Bronson is apprehended by the police and sent back to prison, having lived a free life for only 69 days. Initially, he adapts well to prison life, but his yearning for conflict resurfaces less than a month later. Bronson takes a book-delivering warden hostage, locking him in the cell with him. When the prison authorities discover this, Bronson demands to know what they could offer to prevent him from causing further trouble. In a wild turn of events, Bronson strips naked and orders the captive warden to smear his entire body with butter, hoping to make it harder for the guards to catch him during an escape attempt. However, this plan backfires, and he is brutally beaten until he is swollen and bruised. In a stark contrast to his previous incarcerations, Bronson and several other inmates at this prison are provided with art training, specifically painting. They use this medium not just to hone their artistic skills, but also to express their feelings and experiences in prison. To everyone's surprise, Bronson reveals an extraordinary talent for painting, creating beautiful pieces that even earn praise from the art tutor. Encouraged by the acknowledgement and accolades he's received, Bronson dedicates most of his time to painting, putting aside his earlier disruptive behaviors. As a result, his tutor promises to present Bronson's exceptional work to the prison head and the governor. However, when Bronson meets with the prison head in the presence of his tutor, the reception is less than favorable. The prison head seems unimpressed by Bronson's artwork, though he does acknowledge Bronson's marked progress and his steady path towards better behavior. He encourages Bronson to keep up his positive efforts. Despite Bronson's attempts to engage in constructive pursuits, he is met with disappointing responses. He starts to believe that the only way to gain recognition is through violence. This belief leads to a dramatic scene where Bronson takes his art tutor hostage, smears himself with black oil paint, and loudly demands a duel with the warden. The story concludes with a brief presentation of the profile of Michael Peterson, better known as Charles Bronson. To this day, Bronson remains incarcerated, serving a life sentence. This is the end of the movie. Let me know what you think about this movie in the comments, and subscribe to the channel so as not to miss the release of new content. Thanks for watching.